I have listed all the steps that we just discussed here. See, it's not that much. These are all the very, very basic steps that I usually follow to make some of these models. You can see that it's only one page here. I will copy paste the entire details in the description box below. Now that you have gone through the basic steps of 3D modeling, I'll show you one of the completed models of the retroperitoneum, and I'll explain how I did this instead of going through all the steps again. So here is the peritoneum, the parietal peritoneum. Can move it out. It's a bit complex to make this, so I wouldn't go into the details. But what we already know is how to make this transparent. Okay, so you can adjust the alpha value of anything and make the sheet transparent. I have done the same thing here. So that's the psoas major muscle, and I have added the psoas fascia and then made it transparent so that I can see what is inside without moving the fascia. Okay, fine. If you are wondering what I was doing, I am just clicking the slash key here that will isolate that particular selected object. Okay, and then for the diaphragm, as you can imagine, I started by using a sphere. I deleted the lower half of the sphere, and then I was holding this region with the proportional editing on. I just adjust the circle and move it up and down to make the dome of the diaphragm. Okay, so same here for the left dome. That's how I did this. It's not that difficult. Same for the liver. I also started from a sphere. I deleted the lower half and then pulled some of the vertices here to make the left lobe, and then moved some of them here, so maybe a bigger one, to make the right lobe. Okay, and as you can see, I have used the surface shade smooth so that the surface is very smooth here. Kidneys and ureters we have already seen. You can see that the kidney is not standing vertically like what we did in the previous model, but I have deviated that to the anatomical axis. It's a good idea to do that at the end. Otherwise, whenever we make changes in the x and y axis, for example, it will not affect the object very correctly. Okay, so make the complete model, do all the adjustments, then finally change this axis depending on where you want to. You can see that I have also adjusted the axis from the different planes to reflect the real life position. Whatever you see flat here, these things, these were made by adding a mesh which is a plane. Okay, so in this case I have used the plane, same way, holding the corners, adjusting it, everything, to make the muscles of the abdominal wall which are flat. Ureter we just discussed. If I go to the edit mode, you see that there are several dots here, which means I have added more segments by subdividing this. So that is why I am able to make a very beautiful smooth curve at different points, and also we can make the constrictions wherever we want to. So play around with that. The same way I have added a Bezier curve. So add curve, Bezier curve, that's how it started, to make the inferior vena cava, for example, and also the aorta. So once you have done that, see, again I have added more dots so that it fits the lumbar lordosis, for example, and it's a beautiful curve rather than a straight PVC pipe kind of thing. Once you make one big artery like the aorta, then you can always copy paste that, scale by holding S, reduce the size or increase the size. Okay, we are still in object mode, so I'm just scale means resizing it, and this will make smaller branches for us. You can bring this branch and then fit into the aorta and then rotate it wherever you want to. So that's very straightforward once you know how to do this. But if you want to adjust the direction of the artery, then go to edit mode, hold on the individual dots and then move it wherever you want. That's how I have made, say for example, the hepatic artery. I have bent it here to make the L-shaped curve of the hepatic artery, or using the same way we can make the tortuous arteries like the splenic artery, for example. Okay, so these are straightforward things. Curves, as I said, they are very useful. Try to play around with the curves. Here IVC and aorta are curves, ureter curve, gonadal artery, all the branches, they are curves. Only difference is I have adjusted the diameter, which means the depth numbers were adjusted here under curves, go down to bevel, adjust the depth, that's all. Okay, the same method is applied for all the nerves of the lumbar plexus here. You can see when I go to tab and edit mode, it's all Bezier curves. You can also make really small curves like what I have used here for the splanchnic nerves, like these ones, the sympathetic chain or the splanchnic nerves. And these lymph nodes are just spheres. You can see that they are just spheres. You can also see the surface. So just throw in a few spheres wherever you want, recolor them, and then they become the group of lymph nodes, like inferior mesenteric nodes, for example, here. For really complex objects like this, like the bones that you have here, you don't worry at the moment. There are a few ways to do this. You can actually segment these bones from CT or MRI scans, which is a bit of a hustle, at least for you when you are beginning the modeling. But you can actually download some of these sample 3D models from the online pages if you want to. Okay, so that is just for beginning. Once you have a hold of how to make individual things and how to play around with them, then they all become easier. You can actually go on and make your own bones, vertebrae, etc. Okay, so that is from me. So you can take this as a homework. We have just made the individual objects. I explained step by step construction of the model. We used the kidney and the ureter as example, but everything else, it is the same formula we are going to use. It just needs patience and some 3D orientation within your mind to see where everything goes and what everything goes. Okay, because for example, all the structures that you see here are not running in one plane. If I turn it around, you can see that the nerves are starting from the psoas major and then they are going to the lower limb, so they are running from posterior to anterior side. That means when you are making the model, we not only work in one plane, you don't only make it like top to bottom and left to right, you should also work from posterior to anterior side. That needs lots of patience, okay, especially when you are overriding one blood vessel over the other, or see the ureter crossing the bifurcation of the common iliacs, or the gonadal vessels crossing this one. You should make sure that the vessels are running anterior and they are not going through the ureter, or they are not going posterior to the ureter. Okay, so it just needs some patience, more focusing, and lots of screen time. Otherwise, it's really easy. You can directly make these, no issue at all. Okay, the last few words, the application of all these 3D models that we are doing. So on the screen, you can see that I'm using the same model. I removed the additional structures like the veins and the lumbar plexus muscles, etc. But I have brought only the arteries here. You can directly import them into your PowerPoint presentation, and while giving your PowerPoint lecture in the class, see how cool it is. You can actually rotate the models and then you can explain. Okay, so you don't need 3 or 4 slides to explain the same structure. You don't need a slide or an image for the front view, and you don't need one for the back view. For example, if you want to show the artery of Adam Kivix, instead you can use everything within the same slide. So that is one of the advantages of using these models. Again, for veins, you can have the same another slide showing the veins and other details. You can also combine all these into a same image There are possibilities you can make 3D PDFs where you can just click hide and unhide some of the layers that you are seeing, and you can distribute it free for the students. So these become very handy, and you can imagine that our lectures will be much more attractive than what we do with routine images and text. Okay, what you see here on the screen is my own website, that is vivekanatomy.com. If you go there, lower down you will find a series of YouTube videos. For example, this one, if you have a look. So what I have done here is, I usually make the model, and instead of uploading them somewhere else, I do a screen recording with the Blender software itself. Okay, so it's actually easy to do. You move the model, rotate it around, talk through that. Thereby you are actually recording your own online video to share with your friends. That's really handy. So you can see some of these, and this is how it works. Okay, if you have your YouTube page, you can directly upload those screen recordings onto that. Or the other page where we usually share our 3D models is Sketchfab, if you haven't heard about this. So Sketchfab is the place for all the free and paid 3D models. If you go down, you can browse all this stuff. Some of this can be downloaded and used in your own lectures. Just to search for anatomy, or medicine, whichever you are looking for. Okay, so what I do is, if I really want to share some of these models with my friends or students, I go here, and you can upload your own models. So just I have added a few to show you. It will be like this. Quite a few series that we made from the same retroperitoneum model, but I have uploaded them individually, the artery, vein, nerves, etc., etc. And this is the full model, just like netters, isn't it? Okay, and I also have some clinical models like fractures, dislocations, and some blood vessels, etc. So the point is, there are ways where you can distribute your own models. You can even post them, sell them if they are really good, and then attract more viewers for yourself. Okay guys, thank you. That's all from me. So as anatomists, there are heaps of potential for us to go through our own anatomical models, make them, share with our own friends, students, or present them in any conferences, etc. Let's see. Any doubt you have, you just post it down in the comment section, and I'm very much happy to answer all those. Feel free to make your own models, trial and error, then it should all be good. Thank you.